Are you just hoping that your RV furnace is going to work again this winter? Or do you want to know for sure that it is? Because here's the thing. This is one of the appliances in the RV that sits the longest without being used. And so a lot of people just expect it to work year after year, but they haven't done anything in between to make sure that it does. And this guy could use some work. My name is Sue Rasmussen, and I'm the instructor for water heaters and furnaces here at the NRVTA. And I'm going to talk to you about what needs to be done on this thing. Because here's the deal. You got dirt and mud daubers and insects and vibration when you're traveling. All that is affecting your furnace. Even when you're not using it, it's affecting it. And it is one of the appliances that most people don't think about doing any kind of maintenance on it. They just assume that it's going to be reliable when they turn it on. And that's when they find out, oh, it's not working and it's cold out and I need it to work. And then you're frantically panicking to get a technician in to come and fix it because you thought it would work.
Welcome to another 2-Minute Tech Tip Tuesday. Brought to you by the National RV Training Academy, the largest hands-on RV training academy in America. Hey, before we get to the video, which I know this is the reason why you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss anything. Hit the subscribe button now. Thank you. Now, back to our Tech Tip Tuesday.
All right, so we're going to use an acronym that spells out H.E.A.T, H-E-A-T, to help you remember some of the basic things to do to get this thing so that it's ready to go. And when you turn it on, it'll be working. So the H in heat is for your hoses and your vents. So you want to make sure that, because this thing needs to breathe, it actually needs airflow, it needs space to breathe. And one of that is in the exhaust area. So this is our exhaust vent on our Dometic RV furnace. And make sure that this is free and clear of bugs. Insects love the smell of ethyl mercaptan or propane. They love to get in there, build a nest, build a home, whether it's a wasp or a mud dauber or whatever you have. Make sure that it's cleared out from that and just dust and debris. Or frogs. I had frogs in mine in Florida when I was RVing in Florida, so anything can get in there. And you also want to do the same with your ducting. So this is some common ducting in an RV furnace. There are different kinds, but this is really common because it's lightweight and inexpensive to install. You've also got registers where all of this has its output to keep you warm. So you want to make sure that that is clean and clear and free of obstructions. One of the main places I see that happen that causes issues is if you have floor ducting and you've got registers on your floor. If you cover those up with a rug, or if you slide a little screen, or I've heard people using dryer sheets and putting them underneath there so while you're not using your furnace, stuff doesn't fall down there. Well, that needs to all be removed when you want to start using your furnace, because that furnace needs to have all that full, clean airflow. So if you have those floor registers and you take those up to take the little screen out, do some vacuuming in there while you're at it. Just stick a little hose down there and vacuum. All right, so we need to make sure that we have all of those clean and clear and free so that the furnace can breathe. So the E in heat is for your electrical flow and your components, because this thing uses 12 volts DC and we need to make sure that the wires are still good. So you could inspect all of your wires, make sure that no rodents get in there and they'll chew the wires. Wires can get overheated and melt. They can get cut on some of the parts of the furnace are pretty sharp. And if you get a lot of that movement on the road, you might have a wire slice and you didn't even know it. So inspect all the wiring, make sure that it's good, that it's fully, that the connections are good. You may have to remove the connections, and if there's any corrosion there, clean that off. So the wiring itself is super important. The second thing is you got a lot of components that are using that wiring. You got a control board, you have a high temperature limit switch, you have a sail switch, which many of you probably have heard of, and you also have a gas valve that uses 12 volts to operate. So your electrical flow is really important. So take a look at your components and see that those are in good shape. This is the sail switch is one of those items that, because of all the movement that it has and because of where it's located, it can get a lot of junk on it, whether it's dust bunnies or dog hair or cat hair or grease or whatever. This is, if you're going to replace anything as a preventative maintenance, this is a good one. The main thing you need to know about replacing your sail switch is that there are, for the Dometic, there are 4 different parts, 4 different sail switches. You need to make sure that you have the right one that goes in your particular model. Otherwise, it's not going to work properly with your particular model. But those are your electrical components. So now we have the H and the E in heat, and now we're going to move on to the A.
If you're enjoying what you're learning so far in this tech tip and you want to learn more, why don't you hop on over to the National RV Training Academy, contact your local student advisor where you can start a business, make money while traveling, and be able to help out your fellow campers. Visit nrvta.com.
And the A in heat is all about airflow. Airflow is key to your furnace operating. And actually, that's why we have the sail switch. The sail switch is what indicates to the furnace, and to be real specific, indicates to the control board that we do have enough airflow. Airflow is everything to this thing. So what you need for this is to make sure that inside this, we have a blower motor and a blower motor wheel that has a wheel side and a room air side and a combustion side. This is inside this case behind the cover. This can get dirty. It can stop moving freely. It can also, I've seen some where you're missing half the fan blades because something got in there or something broke. So inspecting this, cleaning it off, spinning it by hand just to make sure that it moves freely, that you're not hearing any knocking or rattling noise. Same with when you turn it on. Does it sound like it's moving smoothly? Super important. And just cleaning this thing out is really, really important. So airflow is a huge part. The second piece of airflow is regarding your air intake. So the return air. So our return air is being pulled in or drawn in on this side of the furnace. And the furnace is somewhere low on the ground, on the floor somewhere, and it's drawing in that air to be used. That air that you're drawing in is the air that's being heated up and then sent back out the ducting. And so that air is really important. But we got a little sail switch that's tucked next to that, right next to our blower motor wheel, and we got this air being drawn in, and that air pulls in everything else that's nearby. Dust bunnies, dog hair, all those things that I just talked about, it gets pulled in here. Might even be construction shavings. One thing hugely important, I say if there's one thing you could do, and it's the easiest to get to that you should do regularly, is clean around this area about where that return air gets drawn in, because it'll draw it in. So vacuum around it, clean there. You can get your vacuum. You could do that all year round if you wanted to do some monthly maintenance. The biggest thing on this is keeping it clean. Vacuum everywhere around it. And also you cannot put a filter in front of that because people think, hey, I could prevent all that junk from getting in there. The furnace needs the airflow. You cannot restrict it by adding an extra filter. So cleaning it, that is your best bet. And then finally, the T in heat stands for test. Once you've inspected and cleaned it out, cleaning it and inspecting it are a huge deal in keeping this thing running because stuff just builds up in there. Testing it. So fire it up and test it and see, are you hearing each step in the process? So here's how the furnace is meant to operate, and this is what you're going to experience. The first thing is when you turn your thermostat on, maybe it's a simple Coleman thermostat like this on the wall. When you turn this on, and you're going to have to move the heat way up if you're testing it while it's warm out, so call for heat so that it kicks on the furnace. This thermostat is going to send a signal down to the furnace, and it's going to say it's time to turn on. The first thing that's going to happen is the fan's going to blow for about 15 to 25 seconds. It is blowing cold air. So just know that that's what it's going to do. It is doing a purge cycle, so it's cleaning out any residual whatever's in there, and it's also giving it time within that first 15 to 25 seconds with the airflow to close this. So that's all happening within the first 15 to 25 seconds. What you should notice after that first 15 to 25 seconds is that at that point, you should hear the furnace start to try to ignite. We call that the trial for ignition. It's when it's going click, tick, 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 tick. It is trying to ignite. And that should happen, and then you should have a flame basically immediately after that or somewhere soon after that, and then this should fire up. And then if you also want to watch it complete its cycle, go ahead and turn the furnace, just turn the thermostat down or turn the thermostat off, and then let it go through its finishing cycle. Because even after the flame goes out, the burner, if the flame goes out, there's timing built into the control board that's going to let the fan continue to blow for another 45 to 90 seconds to blow whatever residual heat that is on the furnace itself out through the ducting. So that is what it's meant to do. And once you've cycled through all of that, that tells you the furnace is going through its proper phase and sequence of events. So that simple acronym, HEAT, H-E-A-T, is walking you through the things that you can do to make sure that you're not just hoping that your furnace is going to turn on this winter once it gets cold, because you're going to want it to turn on. Now you're going to know. And there's your Tech Tip Tuesday.
All right, before you get to the bloopers, which is why you're here in the first place, the RV industry needs thousands of RV technicians and inspectors, and now is the perfect time to do that. If you want to make more money or have more control over your time, go ahead and click the link below. Or if you just want to learn how to fix your own RV, got something for you there. Head over to rvtechcourse.com and get started today.
Now for the reason that you're at the end of the video, roll the bloopers.
Do you mind this way? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Pause. And that's your Tech Tip Tuesday. Okay.